that pork is not good would hardly buy pork. A businessman who deals on pork will hardly, make ends meet for himself and his family. Same thing with alcohol. This is as a result of their belief system, their norms. So it is the onus is on the marketer to understand the culture of the people. Culture can also translate to the perception people give to colors. In some part of India, what we use as a representative of that here as black may not be the same for them. So if we need to do business in any environment, it is important to understand their cultural norms and values, their belief system, such that we don't portray what we do not intend to. Also, the legal system, the political system, has a way of affecting business operations. This political and legal framework comes in the forms of laws, in the forms of government policies, and they have a way of controlling what we do as marketers or marketing executives. So it is important to also understand the laws of the land. As I say, ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So if in a country where importation of rice has been considered a contraband product, that's foreign rice in a particular country, it is important to understand that, such that we don't go into such business in order to remain a law-abiding citizen. If there is an instruction that's from so time, there is a curfew in one part of the country, and that is where we find our business situated, we should be up to date with what is happening in the political space and also what the legal framework looks like. That's where we'll be in the government's good book and also do our businesses without having to step on or offend governments and their agencies. We'll also look at the economic environment as part of the macro environmental factors. When we talk about the economic environment, we're looking at the economy as a whole and its sub variables. The growth of the economy, how much income do people in this particular environment earn? What's the debt ratio like? What's the ease of accessing credit facilities? What is the nature of pricing in this particular market like? So it is important to understand the economic environment within our market space. That will also know how viable businesses can be, and if we can survive in that environment. We can ask questions: if this economy is in a boom, are we in recession? What's the purchasing power of consumers? If we are selling luxury goods, can people buy this? What is the GDP? And stuff like that. That way we'll have a good picture of what our market is like. I hope we are together.
Yes, sir, we are together.
All right, thank you. Now let's take a look at the microenvironment. The microenvironment. The microenvironment is on the other side of the divide. While the macro is uncontrollable, the micro is controllable and can be influenced to a greater degree. So the marketing executive may need to exert a bit of pressure, a bit of persuasion to be able to influence the potential prospective buyers, to influence suppliers, to influence some middlemen, marketing intermediaries. So under the micro environment, we could have customers, suppliers, and the marketing intermediaries. One would say, how do you influence customers? Have you ever wondered that you may walk into a shop with a product in mind, but you may end up living with a different product? You've been influenced. The marketer has succeeded in changing your mind. You may walk into a shop wanting to buy a Techno phone, and then you end up buying a Samsung phone, or Oppo, or Infinix. That is influence. Also, for suppliers, we can influence suppliers. We could try to, sometimes put them at the edge by giving them sometimes we give the conditions. Fine, I'm going to pay up front, so you give me a discount. And then at some point, the man may have no choice than to offer you a discount. That's influence. Same thing applies to marketing intermediaries, like the wholesalers, the retailers, the people in logistics, that's warehousing, transportation, distribution, and all the likes. So clearly, we can see that in the marketing environment, we are at the mercy of some others while we can reasonably, have our say in some others. That's the major line of difference, the macro environment and the micro environment. The controllable, that's one we can influence. That's we mentioned the customers, the suppliers, the intermediaries, and the uncontrollable, the macro environment. There we have the political, the economic, the social, cultural, the technological, the legal environment. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. So let's take a look at strategic marketing planning process. Strategic marketing planning process. There is this popular cliche that when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So marketing is not an exemption to events that need proper planning. And when we talk about strategic marketing, we're looking at a course of action towards achieving a specific marketing goal or marketing objective. It is a plan. That's it. We need a direction. When something is strategic, there is something we want to achieve. So the strategic marketing plan takes a process. It is not a one-off activity. We need to move from one to the other in a kind of hierarchy. One comes before the other, such that at the end we'll achieve that specific marketing goal we have in mind. So for the strategic marketing process, we have a series of stages or steps. The first one is identifying a mission. The second is analyzing the situation. The third is the set objectives. The fourth is to develop a marketing strategy. Fifth is implementation. And the sixth and the last is evaluation or monitoring. And what do we mean when we talk about a mission? Most cases we hear people talk about mission statement, vision statement. But really, what does a mission mean? It is important that we get this clear. For possibly some of us who are entrepreneurs or who intend to be entrepreneurs, it is important to clearly identify our mission and also our vision. An organization's mission explains the what. What are we doing? What is the purpose for our existence? It answers the question, what? It defines the fundamental purpose for the existence of such organizations. It also explains what our values are. Who do we want to serve? Now, let me contrast this with the vision statement. The vision is where do we want to be? Who do we want to be seen as? For instance, an educational institution could have as its mission to provide, a world-class environment for teaching and learning. That could be a mission. But their vision could be to be among the top institutions of learning in the world. That's who they want to be seen as. They may not be that as at today, but that is where they are heading to. I don't know if I'm communicating. Are we
Yes,
together?
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. So, first, for us to achieve a marketing goal, we should know our mission. What are we doing? What's our business? Are we into the business of providing carbonated drinks? That could be our mission. So that's the first thing. We need to know what we are doing. Now, from there, we'll move to situation analysis or analyzing the situation. So if this is what we are doing, we need to understand how well we are doing it. We need to analyze the situation. Where are we now? Since there's a place we want to get to, but before we get to that place, we need to know where we are. Imagine if you have to travel from Lagos to Abuja. If you do not understand that you are in Lagos, you may not know the route to go through. So we need to understand where we are at the moment for us to be able to go to where we want to be. Now, in the situation analysis, an organization can do what we call SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis will help us to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Now, if we look at the SWOT analysis, the first two components analyzes the internal capability of the firm, while the last two talks about events within the marketing environment. It's an assessment of the marketing environment. So our strength defines those things we are very good at. Those things we have competitive edge with. Possibly it could be our production process. Our weaknesses are those things we are not good at. It is only when we understand these two things that we can be able to re-strategize, plan better in a bid to achieve that specific marketing objective. If already we know our strength, the best to do is to fine, okay, let's keep the pace as it is, if possible improve. Our weaknesses, when we know them, it is also good for us to find out ways of making them become strengths. By doing that, our competitive edge increases. Now, on the other side, the opportunities and the threats. Within the marketing environment or the business environment, what opportunities exist? What opportunities can we take advantage of given our strengths? If I'm good at something, it is only wise that I find out how I can use that thing I have for my own benefit. And I can only do that by looking out for opportunities where those strengths of mine, possibly skills, possibly manpower, maybe expertise, where it can be used to bring the firm, some competitive advantages. And then the other one is the threats. What threats exist in the marketing environment? These threats could be, competitors. Maybe there are competitors who have similar strength like myself. It could be government policies. Possibly that there are speculations of a ban on a product which I have capacity to produce well, or I have a good connection to import. So it is good we understand all of this, because when we do, it can only tell us the things we should pay attention to and the things we shouldn't. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then we'll move on to objectives. When we talk about objectives, they are goals stated in clear, measurable terms. In most cases, it is advised that an objective should be SMART compliant. SMART, S-M-A-R-T. It should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. That way, it is clear. We are not in doubt of what we want to achieve. If I say, for instance, fine, that this year we want to increase our market share. Fine, it is a wonderful goal, but it is not specific. But if I say that in the first quarter of this year, we expect that our market share should improve by 5%, it becomes clearer, becomes time-bound, such that at a particular point in time, we can look back and say, have we achieved this or not? That's an objective. It should be clear, should be specific, measurable, should be relevant to the overall goal, to the overall goal of the organization. Then the fourth of the steps is the marketing strategy. When we have an objective, possibly we want to, improve market share by a certain percentage in the first quarter or so. How do we want to do this? That's the marketing strategy. how do we want to go about this? What do we want to put together? How do we effectively utilize the marketing 4Ps to be able to achieve our objectives? That's where the strategy comes in. According to Michael Porter, into three. First is either the organization is looking at cost leadership, it could be differentiation, or it could be on focus, or what we may call niche marketing. A cost leadership is that fine, maybe we want to do this by making sure that our products are the cheapest in the market. So it is important to also, to achieve cost leadership, we need to begin by ensuring efficiency in our production and distribution to make sure that we have efficient production systems, that our machines are low cost, that they have low maintenance, that we involve personnel that would help us cut costs without, affecting our outcome. That's one way. Sometimes that's also beautiful to come with a low cost. However, in Nigeria, sometimes we misquote or we misunderstand low price products to be inferior. So it may not also work in all cases. Now, the second is differentiation. How do we appear different from others? How do we appear of a different class? You can imagine that the reason why most people who use Apple phones, they only take selfies in front of a mirror because they need you to see the Apple logo behind. That's a differentiation strategy. Apple has succeeded in positioning their brands in the minds of customers as, providing superior performance, as having high level of quality and style. And that's a differentiation strategy. Across the phones, the tablets, the laptops, they've succeeded in achieving that. So that could also be a way to achieve a marketing objective, differentiation. Doing things out of the norm, as they may say, thinking out of the box. And then the last one, the focus, or what we may call niche marketing. By this, we mean instead of focusing on a broad market, we may just find a narrow market segment and then make sure that they are satisfied more than any other competitor can. That way, we would achieve the best we can with that market, no matter how little. But we'll make sure that no other competitor can come in there and strive, because we've understudied this little segment, known their needs, and we've built that into our product to be able to meet their needs effectively and efficiently. Fine. Once we leave this drawing board of strategy development, we need to put this strategy to work. That's the implementation stage. If we have a beautiful strategy, but we cannot implement it, it's as good as worst as a waste. So at the implementation stage, the idea or the means of achieving the objective is applied in the market. And then finally, the evaluation or monitoring. For every successful strategy, we can only know if it is successful or not if we evaluate the process. if we check from where we were to where we are, if we try to place side by side what we have been doing and what we are doing now, if we place side by side our objectives and our achievements, that is the only way to know if we have done well or done badly. And it is important that at every point in time, an organization should evaluate its processes, its strategies, to understand how well they are fared. That will inform them if there are things to be changed, if we need to, tilt one or two things, possibly one of the objectives wasn't achieved. We can look at the reason behind that, try to make amends, and that way we could get better. We could do things differently towards achieving that marketing objective. Are we together? Hey there.
Yes, sir.
Great. So ask me your questions before we proceed. Our time is almost up. Feel free to ask your questions. No questions. All right. Since there is no question, let's quickly scan through. Let's talk about marketing segmentation or market segmentation. We will understand that there is a challenge that marketers face when trying to serve a broad market. As we usually say, in every 12 there is a Judas. So you can imagine how many Judases we have when you have a market with a population of about 1,000 persons. People have different needs. People want to be served differently. They think differently. Their motives are different. Their purchasing powers are different. Their expectations and perceptions of what quality is also different. So it becomes a daunting task for marketers to try to satisfy a broad market, to assist or to try to solve this challenge. Market segmentation has been put forward as a way to divide a heterogeneous market, a market with people with different needs, market with people who are not similar, to divide them into homogeneous segments such that we can provide them goods and services that meet their needs and suit their conditions, their requirements, their expectations. Basically, we have three basis for this differentiation, for this segmentation. We can segment on the basis of geography. We can segment on the basis of demography. We can segment on the basis of psychography. Now, on the basis of geography, we are looking at the market's location. For instance, if I look at Nigeria, we can segment on the basis of geography, saying, okay, fine, let's produce something different from the north, something different from the south, something different from the east, as the case may be, believing that the locations of these consumers in itself gives them a reason to be different. That people who live within a particular geographic location have similar needs. That's on the basis of geography. We can also say, fine, let's bring it further down. You know, we look at people in colder regions, look at people in hotter regions, and look at products that would fit to the needs of their individual region. And we can adapt this segmentation strategy across the 4Ps: the product, the pricing. A recent survey showed that the poverty rate in Nigeria is tilting towards the north. So an organization could decide to price differently to accommodate everybody. That's segmentation. We could also decide to advertise differently, possibly giving the language difference across geographical regions in Nigeria. Our sales effort could also be made to fit across these different geographical regions. So that way we are applying geographic segmentation. Then the second one, we can also apply demographic segmentation. We've explained demography to be a study of population characteristics. So we can segment our market on the basis of these characteristics, such as age, gender, family life cycle, occupation, religion, nationality. So one may decide to, instead of producing a unisex garment, fine, let me just concentrate on female wears. To make it more specific, maybe adult females. Looking at age now, you're being more specific, such that we believe that we can easily understand these market segments, understand their needs, understand their expectation, and make our products to fit. We can also look at people of a particular class. We're looking at the upper class. We make something to fit, hoping that we know their income, we know they're expected to have enough disposable income to make such purchases. Religion as well can be used as a means of segmenting markets and all the world. And then we can also talk about the psychographic segmentation. By psychographic segmentation, we are looking at consumer psychology. Yeah, the way they think. People think differently. Their psychological makeup. Some people, the way they see themselves differ. That way they begin to place themselves above some others. We look at social class, lifestyle, personality. For instance, once a person is noted to be a celebrity, whether he or she has money in his pocket, there is an expectation from the society that he should dress well. He should live, in a very luxurious apartment. He should drive a nice car. That's his psychographic makeup. It is not about his economic state, but his psychographic makeup, his personality. That's the person he has become. Same thing with our politicians. Whether the person is living so well financially, he's expected to carry a personality when he steps out. So he doesn't live. He needs to live in the highbrow areas of Abuja or Lagos or in Port Harcourt, to be able to showcase that personality, that lifestyle. So sometimes marketing executives could target some of these people and make products that will help them to achieve that personality, to achieve that lifestyle they want to live. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now, it is also important to note that while we engage in this segmentation activity, a marketer should know that behind every marketing activity, it should be done in a way that the organization stays afloat, meaning they need to be profitable while segmenting. So you need to select a market segment that is viable and is profitable. A market segment that you can, when you put all your effort to, you can be able to have a reasonable amount of sales and a reasonable amount of return that will keep the business going. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we have barely 5 minutes to go. I think it's only wise if you have if you have questions, feel free to ask your questions before our time is up. Yeah, Joshua.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I'll first of all appreciate the delivery. It was such that even those of us that don't get marketing background would relate to. So I really appreciate the
Good.
delivery. Yeah, but I just want to make a quick observation
Yeah.
concerning the timing.
Fine.
I will suggest that
Okay.
support should inform people like a day earlier. If you look at the number, we're just about 13%, and it's not really
13.
yeah.
Yes.
So I would suggest that subsequent time we try to make the notice a bit earlier than what we had today. Thank you, sir.
Okay. No problem. That's taken note of. Any other question, comments, or observation? All right. In the absence of any question, I wish to thank you. Okay. Rigapi?
Yeah, I'm part of the support, the CDeL support, sir. I was just going
Okay,
to,
great.
you know, in case there's any who has joined in, the next class will start with the same link by 8:30, right?
Sorry?
I was just going to in case any first semester student has joined the class. We're supposed to have another
Okay.
class by the next class by 8:30.
Okay, strategic marketing.
Yes, sir. So just wanted to let them know in case there's any first semester student that just joined in.
Okay, all right,
Yes, sir.
that's good. I hope you took note of Joshua's comment.
Yes, sir. I will work on giving out the time, the notice ahead of time for proper attendance.
That's good. Thank you. All right, so I think this brings the class to a close for today. Thank you for your time and your participation. We'll see you next
Thank
time.
you very, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.